fired up.
4th down and goal from the 9. 17 seconds to go. The play clock at 3. Shotgun snap. Carr throws into traffic. Intercepted. Jermaine Pratt has the football.
Yeah.
Coffin nails.
Bam, bam, bam. How about that? It ends on a turnover.
Joe Burrow takes the snap. He takes a knee. And after 31 years, the drought is over. It is no fluke. It is a fact. The Cincinnati Bengals are headed to Super Bowl 56.
Welcome back. I am Aaron Smith, as always, joined by my partners, the self-proclaimed best producer in the city, Ed Mayhall and Jeff Howell. And we have a special guest tonight, as it is opening week for your Cincinnati Reds. Love them or hate them, whatever happened this offseason, they are still the hometown baseball team here representing the C. And we have Annie Sabo from Bally Sports joining us. If the name sounds a little familiar, it's probably for good reason. But Annie, you are new to the city again.
Yep.
So you grew up in Montgomery.
Yes.
The daughter of, I guess you could say quite the face, as the Rex Specs were undeniable. And you are back here in the Queen City once again on your own career path, as opposed to growing up in your father's shadow. So tell us a little bit about what it was like growing up in a household where your dad was kind of the king of the city here for a bit.
You know, everyone always asks me that, but I think for us, I have 2 younger sisters. My dad was very blessed with 3 daughters. I think for us, it was just totally normal, and he was just dad to us. But I think I really first got my taste of my dad being kind of important or a celebrity around here is just by going to Bengals games. I remember I was always into sports as a kid, and when I was about 12 or 13 years old, my dad would take me and one of my best friends to a Bengals game, and just the Sabo chants were, you know, all over the place going to Paul Brown Stadium. So that was super cool. And just kind of realizing that my dad was, you know, super important. Not to say that I didn't realize when I was younger that he was important and a big player in the 1990 World Series here in Cincinnati. But it was just, to us, it just seemed so normal. You know what I mean? I mean, I was talking to some of my colleagues today. He is still the same guy, still drives a Honda, will not buy anything luxury, is still super low key. I actually did an interview with him today. Just the best dad ever, and still a man of very few words, but just such a hardworking guy and someone that I've definitely looked up to throughout the course of my career, and something that he's always said throughout my career is that he says, I hope that I am known as Annie Sabo's dad one day. And he is just not a guy, you know, who wants to be in the spotlight by any means. He's just happy to be our dad. And, you know, I'm very fortunate to have a very close family. My parents are still together, and they are, you know, up in Akron, Ohio. My dad's the head baseball coach there. And then they kind of spend some time with us in Florida in the off season. But I mean, great dad, great family. And bottom line, we kind of felt like it was normal, although I guess it's not necessarily the most normal thing when your dad is a 1990 Reds World Series winner.
Absolutely. I can't even imagine what that was entirely like, because there's no way you can avoid the spotlight here in this little, I mean, Cincinnati is, for what it is, it's still a small city by comparison to some other cities nationally. Now, you are quite the contrast to your father, who, as you've already mentioned, is a man of few words. So as you have very differing personalities, I've heard a little bit in some of your interviews here as you've been making the rounds in your introductions. There we go. But what was it like, you know, since your dad wasn't quite like you in that respect, just kind of carving out your own path? And what's that been like for you?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think growing up, I was a little bit shyer. I don't necessarily know why. I always kind of found myself, I guess I will say, through sports, and played soccer for forever. probably could have accomplished a lot in the sport of soccer. Unfortunately, I got a couple concussions, so that didn't work out. And then I switched to tennis at Ursuline Academy in Montgomery. So that was really fun for me. But I don't know. I just think that my mom is super social and kind of compliments my dad, and they balance each other out perfectly. So I kind of follow after my mom more so personality wise. I'll never forget one day we were sitting on the couch in our home in Montgomery, and my dad, we were watching a Bengals game, and Aaron Andrews was on the sideline. Funny story, I later worked with her dad, Steve Andrews, in Tampa a few years ago, but my dad says, Annie, why don't you just pursue that in college? Because it was at a point in my life where I only liked gym class, and my parents said, Annie, you can't say gym class is your favorite subject in school. That's just like super embarrassing, and you can't say that. And so my dad just kind of suggested that I do pursue a career path like Aaron Andrews. And I thought, okay, I think I can do that. And just kind of got more and more confident. I went to the University of Michigan, a very big school where you needed to really make an impact and be yourself and go out of your way to get to know people. So long story short, I just think I really blossomed in college going to a really, really big school. I know Cincinnati is a bit of a smaller town, but the University of Michigan, is 40,000+ students. And I really had to work super hard in the TV industry there and to kind of prove myself. And I mean, I'm still 7 years later in this business, still trying to prove myself. So love my dad. Yeah, he's a little bit shyer than I am. But throughout the course of the years, we've definitely had a lot of good battles and discussions because I'm a little bit more feisty than my siblings, I guess I would say. My dad and I get into a lot of, sports debates and things of that nature, but it's super fun. And again, just want to reiterate how great of a person and a dad he has been.
So you chose Michigan, but I did read that you had some Division I offers for tennis, correct?
Correct.
So what was the deciding factor to not maybe take one of those and decide to go Michigan?
I love tennis. I started at a really late age. Serena and Venus probably started when they were 4 years old. I started when I was in 8th grade. So, got a really late start in life, but I was, I guess, kind of proud of myself that I got, a Division I offer to play at the University of Dayton, where my mom's parents lived at the time. But I think I kind of realized that I'm not going to be Venus and Serena Williams as much as I look up to them, and love them. So I just decided to pursue the TV route and go to a bigger school. I kind of grew up going to smaller schools here in Cincinnati and just felt like it was time to go to a really big college in the University of Michigan and experience kind of what the real world was like and what I'd be getting into once I stepped foot into the TV world. And I kind of had a feeling that the TV industry was kind of my niche and something that I could pursue for years and years. So that's why I kind of decided against playing sports in college and deciding, to go the TV route.
Now you came back to Cincinnati and you came just at the end of the Bengals Super Bowl run. You've mentioned the Bengals several times already. So I have to ask what this season meant to you as a lifelong Bengals fan then. And now you're getting to come back in kind of the aftermath of what this season was.
Yeah, you know what? It's been super fun. Moving to Tampa several years ago, probably about 5 years ago, I've kind of become a Buccaneers fan, and I'm a huge Tom Brady person. So ever since Tom moved to Tampa, you're
a Michigan person. You're allowed. It's fine.
Yeah. You went to Michigan, right? So I think that's been super fun for me. But once they got booted out of the playoffs this past off season, my sister and I, who live in Tampa, we realized that the Bengals were going to play for a Super Bowl title, and that was super fun for us. I remember I bought a Joe Burrow t-shirt and was sporting it all around Tampa. So I'm just super happy for the city of Cincinnati, and hopefully they live up to their expectations for this upcoming season. Hopefully they do win a Super Bowl title in the next 2 or 3 years. I think Joe Burrow is, a great young quarterback. Hopefully, I know he's drawing comparisons to Tom Brady, just in a sense that nothing really phases him. And I think that's awesome. And I think that Cincinnati Reds fans and Bengals fans, if you live here in Cincinnati, you're a diehard fan of either team, really. And so it was just so fun for me to watch from down in Florida. I would love to see the Bengals do well again this season. I'm always rooting for them, no matter where I am in this country. It seems like I move all the time, but it's awesome. Diehard Bengals fan, diehard Reds fan. Happy to be back in this city, and just happy to see the Bengals just do so well.
Now, after you left Michigan, when you graduated there, you headed to Texas, correct?
That's correct. Yep.
And what sports or teams were you covering down there?
Well, I was in Corpus Christi, Texas, small town USA. So the biggest thing there was high school football. So it was kind of like a Friday Night Lights vibe. And, I look back on that experience fondly because, granted, in the city that I lived in, there was not a Panera. So it was very small town USA. But driving to these different cities in Texas and covering high school football on Friday night, and everyone thinks you're, the biggest thing ever to cover high school football. I just thought it was such a blessing, and it was so much fun for me, and I would never trade that experience for the world, although the only thing we really covered was high school football. Although the first year I was there, I got to go to Kissimmee to cover Houston Astros spring training. So that was really cool for me. Love doing that. I've kind of spent all my career in the American League, so now I'm moving back to the National League. But, I mean, high school football in Texas was different. It was special, and I will never forget that.
Were they banging trash cans at that point, or?
Probably. It was – I will tell you some weird stories. I remember one time I was doing a live report in Corpus Christi, and this one man, Wright, I kid you not, it was not 5 seconds after I finished my live hit, asked if I wanted a grilled pork chop on a stick in
Sounds
this.
fantastic.
Yeah, it was delicious. And I was like,
say,
absolutely, I want that. I don't have to use money to go to Sonic or McDonald's and buy a hamburger. So yes, I will take the pork chop on a stick. Thank you.
Yes, sir, you win.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I will take that. Thanks.
So tell us a little bit about what Bally's has you doing as you are transitioning into a new position here in your hometown of the Queen City.
Well, I'm going to be doing a lot of stuff this April, filling in for Brian G while he finishes out the Blue Jackets season. In Minnesota, when I was working for the Twins the last couple of years, I did pre- and post-game shows. I'm going to do the same thing here in Cincinnati. I have a couple sideline reporting gigs throughout the course of the summer. But throughout the month of April, I'm going to be here pretty much every single day doing pre- and post-game shows while the NHL season wraps up. And then, May, June, July, and August, I'm not going to be here as much, doing a few series here and there each month. And then I'm going to go back and forth between here in Cincinnati and in Tampa, where my family is. But just doing pre- and post-game stuff, interviews as much as possible, and then doing a few sideline gigs.
Are you still doing things with the Big Ten Network, or is that?
Potentially.
Potentially.
I liked it last fall, so we'll see. It just kind of depends on the baseball schedule. And if the Reds make the playoffs, then I'm going to be here.
Right.
Well, go ahead, Ed.
On post games, are you going to be able to go up to the booth with like a big broom after we sweep the Cardinals and do what Jim Day always does?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Just give me it. Someone needs to supply the broom, but yeah, I will be there.
We'll get you broom. Don't worry about that.
Yeah, I'll be there.
Now, you mentioned the Big Ten. The Bearcats here in town were a little bit better than the Big Ten last season. We may never get to say that again. But I did just want to throw that out there. They were better than Michigan. They were better than Ohio State. That's not a question. It's just simply a statement. I just wanted to just throw that out there because, again, I don't know that I'll ever get to say that again. But so it's been a very strange offseason for the Cincinnati Reds, and we've been probably not so kind to ownership, but moving aside from that, they've made some moves here in the offseason where some have been scratching their head and others have been trying to trust the process. I don't know that anyone's fully invested in trust the process, but what have you made of the moves that with Jesse Winker and Eugenio Suarez or Sonny Gray, or the way everything kind of was handled with the Wade Miley contract, which I'm still perplexed on, just in the way that all of that was handled, I guess, with getting nothing back. And even today with the move of Shogo, it's been quite the transition, not bringing back Castellanos, even though they were rumored to have been in the mix. What have you been able to make of all of the moves that the Reds have made at this point?
I mean, obviously from a fan's perspective, I get kind of some of the frustration. However, I do believe that the Reds are kind of trending in the direction of following the Tampa Bay Rays. I spent time in Tampa. I understand how the Tampa model works, and it's kind of similar, in my opinion, to what the Reds are trying to pursue. And I mean, look where the Rays are in this day and age. I mean, they've done pretty good from the resources that they've acquired. I understand that getting rid of a Castellanos and a Winker and Suarez might not be the most popular move towards the fan base. However, I think this organization is looking more long-term. And by long-term, I mean, 2024, 25.
A lot of contracts coming off the books in those seasons.
Right. So that's what I think. I think that Reds fans just truly need to have faith. I think the pitching rotation is going to be super exciting, especially with young arms like Lodolo and Green. I think that's going to be super fun for fans to watch. I understand some of the moves made in the offseason, not as popular, but we'll see how it works. I mean, I wish I could predict the future and say this is going to be the greatest decision that was ever made, but I just do have faith because I've seen similar moves made when I was in Tampa with the Tampa Bay Rays. And so that's why I'm still optimistic.
Now, the general public doesn't get to have conversations with a Bob Castellini or with a Nick Krall, but what are your first impressions as you're entering into that realm, as you've gotten to speak with some of these guys, or at least their representation?
I actually haven't spoken to Castellini or Krall just yet. However, I have listened to interviews, and general impression, good guys. I mean, I think that maybe something the fans are a little bit upset about is just due to the transparency aspect. However, I guess I am not necessarily in the clubhouse as of right now, so I can't necessarily speak on that. But I can only speak from my experience working with Tampa and just
understood.
I know that, I was in Tampa when they made major trades to get rid of some big players who were there, and it worked out for them. I know that Reds fans might not necessarily, believe me or want to believe me, but I just think that, you got to have some faith and trust the process, and we'll see. But I'm still excited about this season. I think a lot of people are counting the Reds out, but that's fine. No expectations to me as a player. I've never played baseball, but I would want to show everyone that they're wrong, and maybe make a run in the NL Central.
To some more fun subjects. Today was the announcement of new food at the stadium. Did you get to partake? I know you were asking for pictures. I believe it was maybe Sarah Elise that you were asking for pictures.
Yes. Did not get to partake.
Okay.
But we were talking about it. I'm not necessarily the biggest fan of new creations of ballpark food. I am like a strictly hot dog, skyline, cheese coney, popcorn, peanuts kind of gal. But I saw all the creations that were being showcased this afternoon, and I thought I would give it a try. I'm not saying it's going to be my favorite thing in the world, but I would give it a try.
We had a heated discussion on this podcast about, I think it was 2 weeks ago. There was some talk that people enjoy bringing in like deli meat sandwiches. And exactly.
Really? Like not even like bringing like a Jersey Mike's Club that like in a soft sided. It's not even no.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
No.
I love a deli sandwich. Like
exactly.
When I'm not going to a ball game.
Agreed.
Every day when I'm going to work and I want a Subway sandwich or some kind of sandwich, by all means. But at a ballpark, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
No way. No shot.
I wish Chad was still
Ed?
here.
No. Chad,
Would I
Chad
eat
Brindle.
it? Yes. Would I want to eat it? No.
I mean, it's not
Somebody
like the
else
guy
brought
who
up
brings in.
sushi.
Yeah,
Somebody else
it's not
brought
like
up sushi in a thing, like to bring sushi into the ballpark.
Uh-huh.
No way.
No.
I
Like
saw
even
a
in
guy
a
do it.
cooler, there's no way you're bringing sushi into a like.
That's like the people who bring like hard-boiled eggs to the airport, and you're just like,
No.
Why?
Why?
I've witnessed
Why?
that before. Yeah. You're just like, huh?
Hot dog, a beer, nachos. Like, just keep it simple.
I agree.
And that you did bring up deli sandwiches. Well, I brought up deli sandwiches. You said you enjoy deli sandwiches, and you went to Michigan.
Yeah.
And there's a place in Ann Arbor
Uh-oh.
called Zingerman's.
Yes.
What is your favorite sandwich from there?
I'm going to be so bad, but I went there a few times. Could not afford it because it was like
It is
such a big
expensive.
sandwich place. But whenever my friends went, I believe I had like a corned beef sandwich or whatever they wanted. I mean, I'm not very picky when it comes to deli sandwiches. I'll eat anything. But I remember getting either a corned beef sandwich or something of that nature, and it was delicious. But I live in Florida now, and I'm a big Publix sub person, so
I've heard
that's
great
my
things
MO.
about that.
oh, they're the greatest.
The public subs.
I was at Publix last week and I couldn't find any subs. It was also late at night. Never mind.
You need to go through the line and they make it yourself.
Oh, okay. That's what I was
It's a
missing.
Subway line, and they use boar's head meat, and they like make it. You get a lot of meat.
Get the
Yeah,
Cuban.
it's so good.
I don't even like pickles, and get the Cuban, man. It's fantastic.
So I just
Yep.
looked at the list of the new food, and they have a vegetarian dog and a cauliflower wings. I won't be trying any of those.
Cauliflower wings are actually pretty fire. Not gonna lie.
Okay, well, I might give them a shot then on your recommendation.
Yeah, if they have buffalo sauce on them, they're actually good. I kid you not.
They're very good. You go to B-Dubs and get them if you want to try them before Ed.
Yeah.
They got cauliflower wings there.
Now, down in Tampa, were you a Skyline frequenter? Because they do have a Skyline, in at least one in Tampa.
Yeah, they have one in Clearwater, and then where my parents live, they live in like Sarasota area, a neighborhood called Lakewood Ranch. There was one, I kid you not, right outside my parents' neighborhood. So whenever we went to my parents' house, we would stop there. My dad's the head coach of the University of Akron baseball team, so I have not been down to my parents' house in a while. But the first stop when I got here is I got 3 cheese conies.
Well done.
And ate all of them, and it's delicious.
See, Ed, she eats all of her conies when she orders them.
Stop. That's not
I
nice.
eat all of them. If I'm ordering it, I have to eat all of them.
I mean,
Just saying, Ed,
I tried to eat all of them. I really did.
you ate too slow. So your favorite players that you're looking to watch this year, you mentioned Hunter Green and Nick Lodolo, so obviously those are on your list. Is there anybody else that you're keeping an eye out on, and maybe a sleeper outside of the names that I think that everybody probably is going to be mentioning?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think Jonathan India is probably the obvious one. He's said following an NL Rookie of the Year campaign that his next goal is a Gold Glove. So I think that would be something that I'm really watching for. I mean, Joey Votto is always entertaining. He just got social media recently. So
How fun has that been?
amazing.
Yes.
So I got dinner with Sam LeCure tonight, my analyst, and he's not a big social media person, and I was trying to tell him about Joey Votto on TikTok and stuff. And yeah, so that song is now in his head. And he was like, this is what he's doing on social media. And I was like, yeah, he's blowing up.
killing
So
it.
I think those two guys, a sleeper. I think Nick Senzel, I mean, obviously based on the spring he has had, obviously has to stay healthy, would be someone that, I know he's so good and he's capable of amazing things. Just the health has been an issue in the past. So I'm really hoping and praying he can stay healthy because I think he could be a huge impact player this season. But those are kind of my guys outside of the starting pitching rotation.
No Tyler Stevenson, huh?
No, but I mean, he's a guy too that I'm excited to see. For sure. Forgot about him, but I think he's going to have a great season as well.
He wears my favorite number, so I never forget about that one. The last question I have before the other guys, I'll see if they have any other questions. I'm very curious to know, as you were growing up watching your dad win a World Series, what's your favorite memory from the ballpark? As it was still Riverfront back then.
Yeah. The best memory. So I was born in 92. So unfortunately, I only have tapes to remember the World Series. However, when I was born, Marge Schott was still around the organization, and I will never forget walking into her office with her huge dogs. And when I have a small dog, she's here in the hotel room with me. She goes everywhere with me, but we're huge dog people. Just remember going in, petting her huge dog, and she would give me, every time we went into the office, a Barbie doll, a new Barbie doll. And I thought it was the greatest thing ever. I was probably, 3 years old at the time. So I got to pet her dog. She would talk to me, give me a new Barbie doll. So that was a really good memory. And then I just remember being in the kids club, kind of below the stadium as the game went on, because I was too much of a psychopath when I was younger for my mom to actually watch me. I was like ADHD, hyperactive, and I would always befriend the girls. And I cannot remember, there's this one girl I would always sit next to. I cannot remember who she was the daughter of. She always had a bag of Doritos. And I was like, I want to be friends with that girl because she's going to feed me Doritos. I don't care what she's playing, but I'm going to sit with her. And she would feed me Doritos throughout the course of the game. Then my parents would get me at the end of the game. So those are the two memories that I probably will not forget. I remember living in certain places, like when my dad got traded to St. Louis and things like that. I remember where we lived, but in terms of games and stuff, don't remember all that much.
Okay.
Will we see maybe a throwback Rec Specs one day, just in like a pregame or postgame, just to do it?
I know people are asking me that. I know I was at the Reds Hall of Fame the other day, and my dad has loaned a pair to the Reds Hall of Fame. So that's one pair.
Wait. He wants them back?
Probably.
Like they're just on loan. That's fantastic.
Awesome.
Yeah, they're on loan. And then, okay, so long story short, when we moved from Cincinnati here down to Tampa, we think that some of our stuff was stolen from the moving truck, and my mom's devastated. We think some of my dad's stuff was stolen. And so in terms of, because in Cincinnati, we had a whole room with all my dad's stuff. It was so organized. My mom is a champion and organizes everything. But then once we moved down to Florida, I'm not entirely sure every bit of my dad's things made the trip. So I'm not entirely sure if the Rec Specs are down in Florida. So I was asking her today for photos from opening day when I was a kid, and she says, can't find them, ask your grandma. My grandma still lives here, my dad's mom, so I'm gonna have to ask her when I see her tomorrow. But some of our stuff got lost in the mail. If a pair of Rec Specs somehow resurface, I will wear them on one show. I don't care.
That's awesome.
But
I've seen some at like Reds Fest and stuff like that. They're probably not your dad's,
they're
but
probably not authentic.
Yeah, they're not authentic, but yeah, I've seen. So they're out there somewhere.
I know we have them probably somewhere in Florida, but my parents aren't there, and my sister probably could help, but who knows? They're somewhere. I just don't know where they are.
You should just take a lane less traveled and just go with like ski goggles.
Yeah.
And just make it your own thing where you're just wearing like the big bulbous ski goggles and be like, what? I mean, this is my version. Like dad had his version. I got my version. It's fine.
Yeah. I mean, for sure.
My middle son is 7.
Okay.
He's playing coach's pitch this year, and he just got glasses over the winter.
Mm-hmm.
So the first day of practice, like his glasses they don't fit under the helmet well, this and that. So I was like, hey, they make these things.
Yes.
And he was like, what is that? And I was like, let me show you a picture. So I pulled up a picture of your dad. I'm like, do you see this? Do you see this?
Champion.
I was like, World Series champion. Like you can wear them too. So they're probably going to be like, I don't know if like Rec Specs are a thing anymore. Like if you can, like that's a company, but they make similar ones. So I've got a pair on order for him. And he was like, he refused to wear them until I showed him and was like, look, professional baseball player.
It's cool.
Like he wore, I wanted them growing up and like, I just never got them. I always had to wear glasses.
Well, everything that has gone out has come back in, like a fanny pack, right?
Yep.
Fanny packs were cool when we were younger, went out, now they're back in. So maybe the rec specs will do the same.
I was just in
don't think
Disney
rec
last
specs
week.
were ever not cool.
No,
If you're a baseball
agree.
guy that wore glasses, like you wanted rec specs.
the rec
Yeah.
specs and the
Right?
flip up sunglasses.
Oh yeah.
Mm.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Ed, you got anything?
I don't think so.
All right.
I asked my questions.
Fair enough. Well, Annie, we thank you very much for joining us tonight, and we wish you the best of luck this year, your first season as a Red yourself, if you
Yeah.
will. So it should be a lot of fun to follow your path as you are trailblazing now, and kind of trying to make your name one without being necessarily associated with that. I'm sorry we asked so many dad questions, but
No, that's all right. I'm very proud to be his daughter, but yeah, trying to trailblaze my own path. But thanks you guys so much for having me. If you're ever at the ballpark, come say hi. I'll be on the third base side at the set.
I'll bring the
Fair
broom.
enough.
Please do. Would love that.
All right.
All right, that was Annie Sabo. Thanks again. You can just hit the leave studio button there at the bottom, and thanks again for all of your time.
Thank you.
Thanks.
That was a lot of fun,
That
guys.
was awesome.
I'm actually on eBay right now trying to find rec specs.
Sounds about right.
Yeah.
Ed's gonna wear them on the show for the rest of the summer.
I mean, if I find a pair, I will.
We do need to address the elephant in the room.
I've been wondering what this is. You
Maybe-
guys said this pre-show, and I don't know what's
maybe
going
it's
on
not
here.
the elephant in the room, Aaron.
The
I think
hat
it's
on the head.
It's the banana in the room.
Oh, geez. What now?
So, a few weeks ago, Ed was at a little strip mall outlet. You remember that, Aaron?
I remember that.
And I think there was like, I don't know, there
Vividly.
were some things there that could only be purchased at that outlet at that time because they were on clearance.
Mhm.
And Ed was flexing on us. Look, I got this awesome Bengals hoodie. Like I got this. But did he call either of us like while he had
I
opportunity
texted you
to
and
get
told
it?
you where it was. I texted you and told you where it was.
Oddly enough, he knew that I wanted the jacket,
The zip-up.
the full jacket.
The zip up, which unfortunately when I went up there they only had smalls. And
Wonder
yeah,
if they
that's-
had a different size when Ed was there. Wouldn't know because
Yeah, no.
Wouldn't know.
I don't know.
But then our buddy Ed was not here. He wasn't here last week.
Well,
he was on a trip.
Jeff, he did ask if Chad wanted anything from one of
From
his
Buc-ee's.
stop-
From
one of his
Buc-ee's.
stops.
Well, because Chad pays that service to send him stuff from Buc-ee's, and I thought I could save him a little bit of money if I stopped at the Buc-ee's.
So
Okay.
yeah, we've made
did
mention
stop at a
of
Buc-ee's,
of
by
a
the way.
certain really fun independent league team. We've made mention of this team and how cool it is, what they do.
The stilts,
And,
the dances.
The Savannah
Yeah.
Bananas.
And then Ed goes to
They-
their store
They opened just for him.
just for
Okay,
Ed.
can I tell that story? That's a
open.
good story.
Go ahead.
You
All
can
right.
tell it here in a minute. Hold on, Ed.
All right.
So Ed goes to this store, Aaron, and they open it special for him
And his kids.
and his kids. What did Ed say?
Your voice is getting higher
Yeah,
as you're
yeah.
telling this.
I know. I'm getting a little worked up. So then Ed gets inside the Savannah Banana store, which oddly enough, Aaron, isn't within, I don't know, like a 30-minute drive from here. It's a couple hours.
10 hours.
Okay. That's even better, Ed.
Huh.
And he doesn't say like, hey, Aaron, I know on every episode you're wearing a hat. Jeff, you wear a hat too. And you love hats, Jeff, because he used to call me when he was at Reds Fest and they would have a hat. He used to call me. Did you get a phone call or a text, Aaron?
You used to call me on my cell phone
I got an excuse.
when you were shopping hats. Call
Now,
me on my cell
I'll
phone.
I'll feel real dumb, Ed, if you reach down off screen and lift up 2 Savannah Bananas hats and say, "Look what I got you guys."
Well, I didn't.
Look at that comment there, Jeff. Look at that comment.
You didn't even get your brother one. Did you?
My mom told me not to.
That's the best way you could have answered that.
Yeah. So my mom said.
Your mom said, Aaron, Jeff, And Greg, they don't need them. Is that what she said?
No, one of my mom's. My mom asked me what the price of the hat was. And when I told her, she said, "Never mind. Don't get one for your brother."
I'm gonna guess 35.
Ooh, no, actually
40,
43.
30.
30. Even
30.
better.
Greg got the same treatment we did. He got a text message that they were at the store and a picture of all the hats, but no offer.
No, I did offer,
You offered
but
Greg?
he never responded.
You offered us?
No,
Who did?
I offered to him.
Oh.
So here's the thing. Okay, so let me go ahead and tell the story. So
Go ahead.
the whole time I knew I was going to Savannah. I wanted to stop. I obviously wanted to check out a game. They were out of town. That was unfortunate. But we drive to the state, and online it says their team shop is open from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. And I got worried because I didn't know, because they're not in town, maybe they don't open the team shop. Small organization, maybe the whole organization goes with them out of town. I don't know. So I get to the team shop at about 10 a.m. I get to the stadium, historic Grayson Stadium, I think is what's called. Really nice stadium. And I see signs say merchandise in front office. So I start walking towards the one obvious sign that looked like it was open, and it was the front office. And I look in the door a little bit, and I see desks, and I'm like, this is obviously not the merchandise stand. So I walk over towards a gate to the stadium, and I see this guy, and I was like, hey, is the merchandise stand open today? And he's like, no. I was like, oh, does it not open unless it's on game days? He goes, I don't know. I'm just setting up tents. Okay, well, that's interesting. Thank you. So we start walking back to the car, and I was like, you know what? Maybe I'll text them. We can hit it up on the way back from downtown Savannah. Maybe they just opened late today or something. And I see a guy get out of his car with a little Savannah Bananas shirt on and a little name tag. And I was like, hey, man, does the team store not open unless it's a game day? And he goes, no, it's open. I was like, oh, well, I didn't see it. And he's like, follow me. So he leads me right into the office. Bunch of really nice people in there. One nice lady grabs a bag, and she's little pay, like one of those blue bags that you put like a deposit in, something like that. Walks me through the stadium. I get like a little bit of a backstage tour of the stadium. It was only a few steps, but she opens up the garage door. She opens up the whole store for us, which was super nice of her. So I'm like, well, I have to purchase some stuff then, because she just opened this thing up for me. So I grabbed this hat. Nice.
Could have
Savannah
purchased
Bananas
a
hat.
couple more things, bud.
Oh, I did. So I got a hat for myself. I got a hat for my dad. Michelle got a Savannah Bananas t-shirt, and Bryce got a Savannah Bananas t-shirt.
Hey, Jeff, what'd you get?
Nothing.
Same.
Well, and here's the thing. So when I go to text my dad to tell him, hey, do you want a hat? I realized my phone's in the car. I didn't have my phone. So I was using Michelle's phone to communicate with the family. Michelle
has my number.
Okay, didn't think about that part, but she doesn't have Jeff's number, or else she might have invited him to the football thing. Anyways, so
digging a hole, Ed.
that's the story. They were nice enough to open it up for me. Super nice people. The 3 or 4 people that I met. They got so I guess and also in Georgia they have the oh, okay, that's nice to hear too. In Georgia they also have the Macon Bacon, and they have a trophy. Yeah, sure. They have a trophy, kind of like the trophy that we had between us and Miami. They have a trophy. It's a bananas with some bacon or whatever. So they got their trophy set up there. Really cool place. They got a map with pins from everywhere people have visited from. But I suggest checking it out. Pretty cool place.
Yeah, next time I'm going through Savannah,
you should probably take the wife to Savannah. There's some good shopping.
I have a baby on the way.
I don't have money for shopping, Ed.
But you have money for a Savannah Bananas hat?
Yeah, if you'd have sent me a text and said, hey, like I don't have money to let my wife run wild on a shopping spree in Savannah.
I mean, could
be better, Ed.
I mean, it's what it is, Ed. That's just that's just
well, I apologize. I didn't know that you guys
it's on brand. It's on brand. So just
yeah.
I didn't know that you guys were interested in a Savannah Bananas hat. I apologize. Every time I talk about the Savannah Bananas on the show, you guys kind of like move away from that. Matter of fact, I actually thought about because the owner of the team, because I tweeted them and said thank you for the hospitality. The owner of the team liked my tweet, and I thought about asking if he wanted to be on the show, but I didn't know that you guys like the Savannah Bananas that much.
It's pretty cool. I actually looked to see if they were going to have any games. That would be. I love
what they're doing.
They're playing Lexington, but in Savannah. So
I think it's simply fantastic that they are making baseball fun again.
Well, their games are sold out until the 1st of June.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. They
should be.
They stagger when they release the tickets for the games, and then some of the games are the banana ball games, which are when they do like when the pitcher dances before he throws, or like I think yesterday they had a game. They had one of the as the batter came up, he had a caddy in a like Masters style caddy with the white jumpsuit on. Go out there and hand him his bat out of a golf bag.
I saw that.
So do you have more on this?
I was just gonna say John Smoltz pitched at that stadium at one point when he was with the Braves. Saw a sign.
Yeah, it was. I think that
did it open up your eyes?
Oh man, is that really where we're going with that?
Look how confused he is.
Yep. All right, the Reds have a couple things going on. Aaron alluded to it earlier. They did, in fact, officially release Shogo Akiyama.
Did you guys see that tweet?
Thoughts on that?
I feel two different ways on that. I don't feel like he was quite given a fair shake. He came to the Reds during the worst possible time to get to the Reds in a COVID shortened season. And there was no AAA there. I don't even think there was spring training that year, if I'm not mistaken. I think they just kind of hopped right into it.
Yeah, it was there might have been an abbreviated
It was an abbreviated spring training in Westchester, I think.
Yeah, they did.
It was like intra squad. Like
it was intra squad. Yeah.
They only had a like a kind of that COVID travel group that went with them that they could, I guess, get players from.
Pluck from. Yeah. So he came honestly to where, as he was transitioning from the Japanese league to the major leagues, where there wasn't much of an opportunity for development
or adjustment. Yep. Absolutely.
And he was never, I don't know. I mean, I guess not never, but I mean, I don't know that he was quite given a fair shake at really earning a starting spot. He was just kind of thrust into it. Expectations were never quite met. And I can only imagine, as a guy who had been very successful at the level he was at over in Japan, to being not successful here, that can be draining. And when you're already going through what you're going through with COVID and not having fans in the stands, couple that with the fact that his wife got hit by a tree.
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot about that in the middle of a storm, right?
No, I don't think it wasn't storming. It was just a freak accident. She was on
just walking through
she was on a trail. Yeah.
Sharon Woods, I think. Just
out of left field, no pun intended. But just got hit by a tree. And then, it comes out this week that he was asked if he wanted to step back into AAA last year as a guy who's proudly making $8 million a year. It's all weird, and I'm, I guess, happy for him that the Reds released him, because I don't know that he was ever going to quite get what he needed from the Reds organization. I think it's kind of one of those situations where you wish they could have traded him to where they could have gotten something back, anything back. But again, with that contract as it stood, that would have been, they probably would have still had to eat something, if not all of the contract. And he could still be picked up off waivers to where maybe somebody eats that contract. I don't see that happening. I don't know. I mean, I hope that he's able to find his feet somewhere, because I would hate for his entire career to be derailed because of COVID.
Yeah, no, he needed, like, the release was the right thing to do, because he wasn't he didn't have a slot here where he could play. You know, they gave him the option to go back down to AAA again this year,
Right.
which he had the right in his contract to refuse, which he did, and like you said, hopefully he gets picked up somewhere, or maybe he just decides that it's better to head back to Japan, where he had a lot of success, and finish out his career there. So that's the Shogo news. Max Schrock was injured, I believe, running to first base.
They've been nipped with the injury bug, honestly, quite a bit already this small preseason.
And we talked about it a little bit last week with some of the guys that aren't going to start the year. Luis Castillo is just not ready to go yet. And then you got, Max Schrock, who it looks like his expected return's not till mid-June. That's per the Reds site here. Brandon Drury's day-to-day. Luis Castillo mid to late April. Lucas Sims mid to late April. Donovan Solano, who they just got mid-April. Mike Minor, TBD expected return, sore left shoulder.
I don't like that.
Justin Dunn is also TBD, but we knew that. He's one of the guys they got in the Suarez Winker trade. They knew he was injured when they traded for him. So that's to be expected. Jose Barrera's day to day with his wrist surgery. TJ Antone expected to return 2023 with Tommy John. So
you mentioned Schrock, you mentioned Solano, you mentioned Barrero,
Sims,
Castillo, Minor, Dunn, Sims, Antone.
Trey Wingenter is listed on here. Late April. He's a right-handed pitcher.
I don't know that name.
My guy Jake Fraley is still healthy, right?
Right now, as it stands, this would be your actives on Thursday. Tyler Stevenson and Aramis Garcia at catcher. Joey Votto, Colin Moran at first base. Jonathan India, second base. Mike Moustakas, Brandon Drury at third base. Shortstop, Kyle Farmer. The fact that he's the only shortstop is concerning. Tommy Pham, Jake Fraley, Nick Senzel, Tyler Naquin, Aristides Aquino in the outfield. Pitchers, Tyler Malley, Reaver Sanmart. I don't.
That's a new name for me.
Riviere San Martin. He's a pitcher.
I'm looking at something that Charlie Goldsmith put out, and I guess he doesn't have all of the letters, unfortunately.
Oh.
I was going to say I didn't know Reaver Sanmart was. Thank you. Vladimir Gutierrez, Hunter Green, Nick Lodolo, your starters. Relievers, Luis Sessa, Tony Santillan, Art Warren, former Bearcat, Hunter Strickland, Justin Wilson, Jeff Hoffman, Dory Moreta, Ryan Hendricks, Buck Farmer, Daniel Duarte, and Alexis Diaz. A lot of new names there in the bullpen. A lot of new names there in the bullpen. That's
probably not a bad thing.
No, it's not a bad thing. I also am very concerned if it's a good thing.
I guess, with Donovan Solano, I guess he was kind of going to be maybe the backup shortstop. Mark Sheldon notes that they don't have a true backup on their 40-man roster behind Kyle Farmer. We are Kyle Farmer fans here on Pardon the Punctuation.
That's fair.
We stand Kyle Farmer here.
I just don't know that I want him to be the only shortstop on this roster.
I mean, that is a potential oversight.
Concerning.
And maybe one that gets...
Well, can Drury slide over there?
Yeah, and then
in a pinch, I guess. In a pinch,
they've got guys like Senzel. Depending on when Barrero comes back, like some of these guys could slot over there, right? I mean,
I forgot Senzel can do that. Yes.
I mean, he came up as what, a third baseman. He came up as was drafted as a third baseman, and has just played the like, where do you need me? I will make it work game.
What about Alejo Lopez?
Yeah, no, we know he's Clay Snowden is big high on him,
Well,
and
because he can play the position.
yeah, no, I agree.
He did it all summer or all winter down in the Caribbean leagues or Mexican league. I'm not sure. One of the Latino leagues. He did it all winter.
One of the off-season leagues. Yeah, no, I mean it's an interesting thing that hopefully doesn't end up biting them. We'll see. They've obviously the season is upon us in 2 days.
I would think though, with only having one shortstop, there has to be a move, unless they expect Barrero back very soon.
Well, he's listed as day to day.
Okay, well that's I guess a little settling as opposed to unsettling, but
so this notes here on it's another Mark Sheldon quote. Without many true shortstops in camp, Cincinnati moved Miguel Hernandez to the big league camp from minor league side. Recently signed veteran Donovan Solano will also see action there. However, he is currently hurt and not expected back till mid-April.
According to sportstrack.com or spottrack.com, there are some free agent shortstops still out there. Corey Seager, Trevor Story, Javier Baez.
They've all signed.
Yeah.
They haven't updated their stuff then.
No.
So
Story signed a big deal.
That's what I thought, because they also had like Chris Bryant still out there, and I thought he signed too. So
Javi Baez went to Detroit, I believe.
Yeah, this website needs to be updated.
Story went to the Bo Sox, and Seager, the Rangers, maybe?
I couldn't tell you.
I don't recall.
He's not a Red, so
it's fair. It's I mean, the off season wasn't like no one was paying attention because it wasn't even happening.
Yeah, the lockout kind of. Well, we know what that did.
Yeah.
I mean, it's one of those things where, like, we have been, and like Aaron made mention earlier, we've been very tough, hard, pretty direct about our thoughts on the state of what's going on with the Reds. We did talk to Clay Snowden a couple weeks ago. He maybe talked us back off the ledge a little bit as far as what he sees going on, maybe where things are lining up for. And you know what? Maybe a team like this that's young and has guys wanting to prove themselves. I mean, is Tommy Pham hurt? Did he get hurt? He's still around. I think
he's good. No, I think he's good.
Didn't even mention him. But you got guys that have things to prove, and are coming up. I mean, you got Hunter Green and Nick Lodolo, who are obviously they're going.
Hunter Green's last outing though was very concerning.
I didn't see it.
2 innings pitched, 7 earned runs. I'm sorry, 7 runs scored, 5 earned.
Yeah.
That's
something funny. When you go to Google and just type in Cincinnati Reds roster, Hunter Green. Hold on, it's coming up. Is that really Hunter Green?
Google needs to fix
no.
there. Google probably needs to work on what comes up there.
I thought that was hilarious earlier.
It is interesting to look across the top of that, and everybody's in a different team's jersey.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. I'm excited for it. I think now, just to see. I mean, look, it's Reds baseball. All right.
I'm going to watch. Let's be all the way real. I'm going to watch.
Like I can talk as much smack as I want about sell the team, Bob. Like I'm boycotting the season. I'm not boycotting the season. I'm a Reds fan through and through.
I've gone a little bit further than you, Jeff, to where I've literally told people in my circle, I have a June birthday. I want no Reds gear this year. I want no Reds tickets this season.
Unless it's some Chris Sabat Rec specs.
That's not officially licensed gear, but okay.
Okay, well, that's all right. Fine.
Also, I don't know what I would do with rec specs.
Wear them on the show.
No. But I've taken it my stance against this ownership group a little bit further, just trying to plant my little flag on my little hill that I don't agree with these moves, and I don't agree with what they're saying. I mean, we talked about it last week. You weren't here, Ed. I'm sorry, but we went into depth about this market. You can say what you will about the city of Cincinnati, but this market expands, as we well know, much farther than the city of Cincinnati. You're talking all of Southeast Ohio, but much further up into Columbus, up into Dayton, as you have a minor league affiliate up in Dayton, by the way. You have a minor league affiliate down in Louisville, by the way. So you have a vast majority of Kentucky where 700 still reaches. Indiana doesn't have a team. You have a lot of Indiana. You have a lot of West Virginia. You have southern into southeastern Ohio, where I currently reside. Like, it's not just this little patch of the city of Cincinnati when you're talking about the market. And I just can't agree that that's what the market is.
Fair.
Maybe on a day-to-day basis of people who are able to attend multiple games in a week, but who's actually doing that anyway, even in any market? Not for baseball.
I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what happens when the trade deadline comes up. You know, to see are they going to work to, like, depending on where they're at, because who knows? Like, maybe they do surprise us and prove us wrong, which I would be more than happy. Like we said last week, more than happy to put my foot in my mouth on that one.
They certainly have the money for it.
So we'll see. The season does kick off in 2 days in Atlanta, which is an interesting place to have to start.
Not my opening day.
What did we call it? That's the start of the season, but not opening day for us. So opening day here is on the 12th, on a Tuesday. But we will see the return of the Findlay Market opening day parade.
Is that Tuesday too?
Who's the Grand Marshal?
Barry Larkin.
Okay, good.
So my all-time favorite Cincinnati Reds player.
Is the opening day parade on Tuesday as well?
Correct.
Okay. Unfortunately, won't make that this year, but
now you are going to see Hunter Green debut down in Atlanta.
Yeah, I mean,
and you're going to see
was at home.
You're going to see Tyler Malley. I believe I don't recall if he's the first pitcher down in Atlanta or if he's going to be the opening day pitcher here. I know he was slated as the opening day pitcher, but I don't recall if that is our opening day or their opening day, because I don't care about their opening day. I mean, I do, but because I'll be watching. I'm going to hate watch this entire season. Jesus.
Yeah, we're all going to watch it. We're going to be sending text messages back and forth to each other, but hey, maybe they'll surprise us.
Oh, Jeff, look, it's your friend Geoff. He's here.
Oh, Geoff. How are you?
Oh, hey, that's a fun fact.
That's correct. It was 1990.
That is a fun fact. Also, eBay has come in. I found a pair of rec specs.
Why are they so yellow?
Because they're
from the 90s.
1990.
$30.
If you don't, you need to buy them.
Horace Grant Warren.
I was talking to a buddy earlier today who said that Chris Sabo was his all-time favorite baseball player, and when he was young growing up, he did not have vision issues. His brother did, so he stole his brother's rec specs and would put them on, and he said he couldn't see anything when he put them on, so he'd just run around the house and run into stuff. But he was like, I'm not taking them off because I worked hard to get these for my brother, so I'm gonna wear prescription rec specs and just run into stuff all over the place.
Ed, awesome. Aaron Nicely wore rec specs in grade school baseball.
I believe it. I think even wore them in high school baseball.
Quite possibly, actually.
But
Yeah, I don't know.
So I did.
There was another announcement from Reds country today.
I think we were going to the same place at the same time. Yes,
are we all
sir.
talking about?
Go ahead, Jeff.
Todd Frazier's retirement.
Oh, that wasn't the place I thought you were going,
No?
but that was another thing that was announced today.
And we all love Todd Frazier
Well,
here.
you love Todd Frazier a little bit more than myself, or maybe even Ed.
Look, he
gave you your favorite memory at the
he
ballpark.
He did. I was at the home run derby. You know, I always just liked his energy that he brought. Like, you know, maybe he wasn't always the
Jersey
greatest
guy.
the greatest player on the field, but like that dude had great energy, and then obviously, you know, the greatest sports moment I've ever witnessed in person. I did see. I think it was Lance McAllister tweeted something about him needing him having a decent shot at being in the Reds Hall of Fame.
So yeah, that was actually Mo Egger, and I was going to ask you guys about that.
Well, they said there's a log jam now in the Reds Hall of Fame where you have basically a lot of guys: Adam Dunn, Jay Bruce, Brandon Phillips. That just
guys that are out there that aren't in it
are not currently in the Reds Hall of Fame.
Where do you set the bar as far as like who gets into the Reds Hall of Fame?
But you're also going to have guys not getting in on this next go round that are going to be Hall of Famers here in the Reds Hall of Fame. But there's going to be some guys that just simply don't make it. Not like the situation that you've had in the past where it's been like, guys get in and there's some guys that you don't necessarily know their names, but there's going to be guys that you know their names that just simply could not get in because the votes.
I think that like if we're talking Todd Frazier, like I think he sits behind quite a few of those people in that log jam before he gets in. Now, does the home run derby moment alone put him into the Reds Hall of Fame? I don't think so. It's a fantastic moment. It was a great experience to be there. It's not part of a contribution to the regular season.
Right around that same time frame, though, Scott Rowland. Do you put Scott Rowland in the Reds Hall of Fame?
Oh no, I was a huge Scott Rowland fan, but I don't.
That's a make you think kind of question. I'll come back to that next week. I don't know.
I don't think the Reds make the playoffs in that year that they got swept by after being up 2-0.
But maybe they win that playoff series. If you know what I mean. Like,
I mean, these are questions you have to.
There's some Matt Latos get into the Reds Hall of Fame.
No. There are some ground rules. So I'm looking at the Hall of Fame voting and election process. So it says to be eligible, modern player ballot, a player must have appeared in a major league game within the last 13 years, played for the Reds in at least 3 seasons over the course of his career, and in at least his 3rd season since his last appearance in Major League Baseball. So
wait a minute. Has to have been in the last 13 seasons?
Has to have appeared in a major league game within the last 13 years.
Again,
that's weird. That's weird.
This is the conundrum with the log jam.
That's weird.
Maybe Dunner's already in. I think Dunn's
in. Yeah, he was drunk. Yeah.
Yeah. We actually talked about that here on the podcast.
Yeah.
The news that I was going to bring up is the Reds and the Bengals have crossed over to where the Bengals are very involved on opening day here in the Queen City.
Oh yeah, I saw that today too.
Is that because not all the tickets are sold and so they
quite possibly.
Yeah.
They don't
understand why though. They don't understand why.
You have Jamar Chase presenting the National League Rookie of the Year award to Jonathan India, which I think is an outstanding move.
Oh yeah.
You have Joe Burrow throwing the first pitch to the first pitch catcher, Zach Taylor.
I agree with that too.
I think
Yeah.
that that's a fantastic move, as you are trying to sell out
Well, yeah.
opening day for a game that never doesn't sell out. It blows my mind that you have just messed everything up so bad that you aren't selling out opening day, which is the biggest party.
I
we
do agree
go
with
back
them that
to
there could be a couple different factors that go into that, but I think yes, the biggest factor is of the off-season moves. I mean, it's a Tuesday. It's much easier to
It
call
never
off
matters what day
Yeah,
it
that,
is.
that doesn't matter to anybody. Like that it always.
It's never a weekend.
Look, it
Why
didn't
did that
matter
happen?
what day opening day was when I was growing up. I was out of school and I was at the parade and then I was at the game.
Yeah.
Like that's how it worked. A lot of it comes down to the fact that I don't think that there was the transparency and clarity as far as like what the plan or idea or the way they were going to move forward with the franchise.
So I do want to talk about that for a moment, as I already have sent her the apology, but I did not mean to paint her into a corner with that question, as we did have Annie Sabo on earlier this show. And when I asked her about Nick Kroll and Bob Castellini, I didn't know if she had already talked to them, and I was trying to give her the opportunity to shed them in a better light than the fans currently see her. So I did try and offer her that moment. That was my reasoning for that question, not to put her into an awkward position with somebody who's basically an employer. So I did want to point that out.
I didn't think it did, but it's cool that you reached out to her.
I mean, I think that, and we've talked about it before already. Like we've touched on it several weeks now. Like we just wanted a plan. Like we wanted like a, you know what I mean? Like a direction. Like we want to feel like if it's a teardown, like if it's a teardown, right? Up front, hey, this is a teardown. We're going to start this over. We're going to, do it this way. And that's how it's going to be. Like look at, like Houston. Like Houston did like a teardown, right? And they were open and honest about it. Hey, we're doing a teardown, and then they built back up, and
that's where the Wade Miley, Mike Minor thing just doesn't make sense.
So like, it like you said, it's kind of, it's one of those things that's, you look at it and you're like, is this, what are we doing?
Are we treading water? Like, are you trying to be
Right.
in that like 78 win place?
If
like,
there would have been like some sort of like, I don't want to say press conference, but like some sort of thing saying, hey, here's like, just like Jeff said, hey, here's what we're doing, then I think none of us would have blown up like that. But like you said, we didn't know what we were doing. Were we just completely dismantling the team and just saying we've given up, or were we looking for the future? And I think we just needed some transparency and some explanation behind those moves.
You also saw David Bell in a situation where he didn't know what they were doing. When he says we're doing this in a weird way,
like we're getting better, but in a weird way, like that. And I think he was kind of put in a weird spot. He was put in, kind of an awkward,
uncomfortable
situation to be there, and like, and
the
some
vision,
of that,
the vision doesn't make sense to him, right?
And some of that I think also comes from the fact that yes, we were in a lockout, right? So like there was zero
frustration from that.
There was zero communication, obviously, from like owners anywhere to their fan bases.
Or could they even talk to the managers? Like
right
at that
who
point,
knows?
To the players, they couldn't talk to the players,
right? Because I don't know where the managers fall in that hierarchy.
I don't either.
So,
but
like,
clearly in that one interview that we played a couple weeks ago, he had no clue what the hell management was doing. And
so,
that was honest to God, that was my entire reasoning for that question, is I wanted to give her the opportunity if she had spoken to them. And that's why I asked if she had spoken to their representation or whatever the case may be, if she could put them in a better light than what we have as just fans.
And so like, I think,
good night, Jeff. Thank you for coming in. We appreciate it.
Absolutely. But I think what I was getting at is like with the lockout, right? Like, so there was no plan given, obviously, during the lockout because they couldn't talk to us. So then, but obviously they were talking amongst themselves, right? Like they came up with this plan or direction or whatever they're doing behind closed doors. And as soon as the lockout's over, it was like bam, 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 bam. Like, Sonny Gray's gone. Then, Winker and Suarez are gone. And, we're getting players to be named later, and we're getting this. And so it all kind of hit like really fast. And we were all still thinking about Miley walked right at the end of we let Miley walk and sign with the Cubs back in the fall. And then
in a weird, everything that happened with
a
that
weird
deal
turn of events there, and maybe they had a different idea about what they were going to do then. I don't know. And Castellanos, then you have them we haven't even talked to Castellanos people. Like, what do you mean you haven't even reached out to them? As soon as the lockout was over, that would have been my first call if I wanted to bring him back.
Right. If you even want to remotely be involved,
right.
Let me know.
What's it going to take? What do we need to do to have him back here? If that was a true plan, because then it felt like a situation where they were trying to save a little bit of face by saying, oh yeah, the Reds we're in on Castellanos now. But 2 days ago you said you hadn't even talked to his people, and they're, he was on your team.
I'd have been so jaded at that point if I was him. Honest to God. You have every reason and every right to be jaded at that point in time.
So here's what it is. But this is the team that we have. This is the direction they're going. They have spelled it out. They want to be more successful. And Annie pointed out her time in Tampa. She's seen what the Rays did. Is that the direction that the Reds want to go? If so, and that's the result we get, I'll take a couple on the chin here while it fleshes out and becomes, Tampa North.
I guess my only frustration with that is the fact that when you purchased the Reds, you said that we are always going to be competing.
Right.
We're always going to be looking for championships. We're always going to be looking for Moneyball and looking to do this in the cheapest way possible, while using the minor league system as the best course of action before the guys get to their actual contracts, and then we're going to be seeing them off. You can't talk out of both sides of your mouth, and if you are, then put out a whole new statement, or I don't know, man. Maybe I don't know.
I mean, at this point, it's kind of one of those wait and see. Well,
I think your
things.
I think your ambitions and the dreams that you had when you first purchased the Reds have changed, and obviously there's a pandemic. There's no way to hide or get around that. That changed some things for everyone, but don't use that as the crutch to not spend money. I don't like that.
Well, here's the thing. We are, in fact, Reds fans here on this podcast, as much as it might seem like
that's why it hurts, though, right?
That's why it hurts. Yep. That's why we have the emotional response that we do, and
because this is a team that we watched growing up through our younger years, that was successful through the times where the Bengals hurt us the most. How the tides have changed.
Right. So, and you know what? Maybe this plan works, and they can kind of get it put together. They needed to move some things around, like you mentioned earlier. There are some contracts that come off the books in the coming years.
Yes.
I don't see
Moustakas
the Reds
and Votto.
I don't see the Reds locking themselves into any more crazy long-term deals. No. There's probably going to be a lot of turnover.
I mean, at some point you're going to have to trade Castillo then, because they're not going to lock him into a deal that keeps him here. Let's be real.
I mean, there could be some changes and other things that, who knows. But right now, the plan for the Reds is to have homegrown talent, bring guys up through, from the draft into the minor leagues, to the major league level, and hopefully have guys that are ready to backfill dudes that are on their way out when the contract is going to be, you know, some crazy 10-year deal that the Reds just aren't going to jump into anymore.
Switching
I
gears.
don't think they will.
Well, switching gears just a little bit, not all the way, just a little bit. I want to talk about MLB The Show because it came out today officially. But if you pre-ordered it, you got it several days ago. I pre-ordered it. Joey Votto is the best Reds player.
Chicky. I think anytime you say Joey Votto, I'm going to do that.
He's the best Reds player, ranked at an 83 with a potential of a B. The second best Reds player is Jonathan India, ranked at an 82, also with a potential of a B. And I want to publicly wonder why in the holy hell the returning rookie of the year is only ranked a potential of a B.
I don't know how they do their rankings. I mean, like, look at Madden. Madden has crazy rankings too. Like,
the Bengals are still like the Bengals' final rankings were still not good enough to put them in the Super Bowl if you simulated a season.
But didn't you mention that like Ellie De La Cruz isn't even like an option to?
So I was corrected by a guy that we were trying to have on the podcast at one point in time, Riding Rosters, who is known throughout the MLB The Show community as the guy who used to release all of the minor league rosters because MLB The Show did not have a deal in place with the minor league, the MILB, which they do now. You can get him on the default rosters, but the updated rosters, for one reason or another, I can't make rhyme or reason of it, do not have him on the updated rosters. So Ellie De La Cruz is available on the default, but not the updated that has everybody moved to where they're supposed to be. Very odd that was something that was missed. I haven't been on in 2 days, so they may have fixed the rosters at this point as we're going into opening day. I would hope they would have the guys who are on the rosters at this point in time, but I can't confirm or deny one way or the other there, as I haven't been able to hop on there.
It's fair.
It's frustrating.
Okay, well, go Red Legs. We will. The season kicks off, like I said, in 2 days. It is kicking off in Atlanta. Then they will move up here next week.
Yes,
and I get to watch this year.
You'll have an opportunity to head down to the ballpark if you so choose.
I won't be there.
Root on those guys down there.
If I do go, I'm bringing a sub sandwich.
Ed, did you look at?
Ed's definitely going because he promised Annie he was going to take her a broom.
Oh, I did say that, didn't I? Oh,
Jeff, there's no shot in hell that he actually shows up with a sub sandwich, right?
Who, me?
No,
yes, you.
I could see Ed will definitely take a sub sandwich into the ballpark, and I wholly disagree with it.
I think they're going to stop him at the front gate because he's not the guy walking in with a bag of Lee's chicken. I think they're going to stop him with a deli sandwich. He's going to have a deli sandwich, and they're going to be like, "No,
you're allowed to bring it in if it's in a soft-sided cooler." Are you not allowed to bring in? Are you not allowed to bring in the peanuts from the guys who are selling out in the parking lot?
Yeah, they're unopened.
That's a baseball food, Ed. Name another food.
They sell sushi at the stadium. I know. I'm in the same boat as you on that, but I'm just saying.
They shouldn't.
I hope they make you open your sandwich to make sure there are no unauthorized objects inside the sandwich, and then it gets exposed to the heat, and it's terrible.
Ed's a Miracle Whip guy.
Totally.
Disney did make me open up my little soft-sided cooler that I had underneath the stroller, and they commented about the excellence of bringing in oranges and granola bars while you're waiting in line.
Fantastic idea, Ed. All right, moving on. I don't know that there's really a whole lot to talk about with like Bearcats.
Did you see the tweet that came out this afternoon from one Mars?
Yeah, I did see that. Like, that guy's a goof. I don't even want to talk about him. I mean,
No.
I'm sure there is like
I saw it, but I don't. I
Is
also
there
don't
anything? Is there anything to talk
particularly-
about that hasn't been covered on every other Bearcat Journal podcast?
Well, I want to talk to you guys about the fact that the Red Black game is Saturday.
Spring game.
Spring game is Saturday.
The one that everybody's fired up about that isn't.
I'm not fired up about it because it's going to be like a high of 48 with a wintry mix.
Oh yeah, it is supposed to be. Yeah.
I'm over that. I can tell you that right now.
It was
Insane.
88, high 80s, low 90s in Florida last week.
You saying that while wearing a Savannah banana hat just infuriates me. So I'll be there because I have to actually. Chad's got to go to AAU tournaments after practice, and I have to write about what's going on at the spring game this weekend. You can actually go to the spring game if you decide to. $5 to attend.
That's it.
That's it.
$5 to get in, huh?
Sounds like a good family afternoon.
Not in a wintry mix. Your kids are always sick. What do you mean?
My kids have actually avoided being sick. It's been great.
Yeah, well, don't take them to a 48-degree high. There he is.
Hi.
Hello, darkness, my old friend.
I will not stand for Miracle Whip slander.
Oh,
Did we talk about Miracle Whip this time?
Hellman's is the best.
No, gross. Real mayonnaise is disgusting.
Jeff, where are you at on this
Mayonnaise.
actual mayonnaise?
Kraft?
Salad, no, it's not good. It doesn't taste good. I don't care what
Miracle-
it's called.
Chad, are you a
Miracle Whip
margarine
is-
or a butter guy?
Country
He's an-
Crock shed spread.
Okay, so like the real stuff.
Chad's and I can't believe it's not butter guy.
The spray.
The spray. The spray bottle.
That's some good shit.
That's good. I mean,
That's the good shit. That's the good shit.
Chad's
It's good for corn.
Chad's got a toasted bagel, and he's like,
I was told for like a year and a half, make your grilled cheese with mayonnaise. Bleh,
Ugh.
No.
bleh.
I remember
Don't
that
use-
conversation on Twitter. I'm
Don't
not
use
trying to get back to that.
butter, use mayonnaise.
It's a
And
one
don't
and
use
done.
Miracle Whip, use real mayonnaise. I made it. My family wanted to vomit from those grilled cheese with mayonnaise. Bleh.
That's a one and done. You try it one time, just say you did it, and you're like, yeah, no, I'm
Well-
going back to my
No.
spray on.
Yeah,
I can't believe it's
that shit's better than mayonnaise on a grilled cheese.
I'm a Hellman's guy.
It doesn't taste good.
See, I disagree. I think it's because my mom raised me on Miracle Whip, and then I actually got to taste real mayonnaise, and I was like,
Yeah,
oh,
I
this
was
is
raised
the-
on Miracle Whip,
this
and
is
then I
the shit that-
tasted real
this is shit-
mayonnaise and went, "Bleh."
This is the shit that clogs your veins. I'm here for that.
I mean,
Ah.
look, Miracle Whip's not bad. It's a tangy mayonnaise.
Right? It tastes good.
It's the heavy cream that sat out too long, and you added paprika to it. It's
I can't believe you're a Miracle Whip guy, but you had
love
so much
Miracle Whip.
bad things to say about like sour cream, which is essentially Miracle Whip.
Yeah, but the word sour in it, bleh. That's a mental thing, right?
Sour cream
The
is pretty
cream
good.
has gone sour, and now
They-
you're going to eat it.
they
Yeah.
rebranded sour cream with the word miracle.
Right, and I thought it was awesome.
It's a miracle you can actually digest it. That's the miracle.
I don't think Chad jumped in here to talk about this Miracle Whip obsession.
No, that's
Yeah.
exactly why I
Oh.
jumped in here. I heard just slander Miracle Whip, and
It's not a
couldn't-
slander of Miracle Whip.
I couldn't get to the link fast enough.
The creamy, what is it? The creamy zip of Miracle Whip.
Right. It's a miracle that people think this is disgusting. What's wrong with you?
All right, so I'm curious to you guys as we have Chad here. There is a spring game. What
Maybe.
position?
There's maybe a spring game.
What does that mean?
What were you guys just talking about?
It's a wintry mix.
The 48 wintry mix.
Yeah.
Are they going to cancel it?
We'll see. Do you think it's safe to send all those kids out there to play football in 45-degree wintry mixed weather?
They're football players, not
They
you,
do
Chad.
They do it every
Okay.
year.
Yeah, but it's not.
No, they don't. No. What happens if Evan Prater pulls a hand, like blows
If somebody
knee?
blows a knee out
Okay,
because
that's a good point.
because you're trying to get a spring game in when you could push it back a week or 2 weeks or just not do
Or
it.
just
Like,
have practice
I mean,
in the bubble.
You could just practice in the bubble, and then
Right,
if you want to do your red and black game, in 2 weeks
Or
when it's
just
warm,
not do it.
or just not do it, because they're not. This isn't like like Michigan or any of those places that are like televising it and they do all these crazy things. And I understand that I guess Luke's not big on televising it, which is fine. I know that some people are upset about the fact that they can't pull up a
That's his
want-
prerogative.
He doesn't want the tape out
It
there.
is.
I get it.
And that's fine. And I'm kind of partial to that. If you want to go see it, it's $5. Drive. And I know if you're not close by and you can't do that, you can't do it. But hey, it's a
Or
spring
you
game.
could not pay for parking, park somewhere around campus for free, and it's $0.
Oh, Aaron made it sound like it was $5.
I thought it was
to
a
get in.
$5 ticket. I thought I read that somewhere that it was a $5 ticket to get in.
Okay. I thought it was $5 for parking.
No, I thought it. Maybe I'm
I
wrong.
might be wrong on that. I don't know.
I don't know. One of us is right. One of us
I've been.
The
My
thing is,
I've had
Yeah.
other things going on. Like
I get
I'm
it.
not dialed in on tickets for the spring
But
game that I don't have to pay.
the
for.
thing, what it comes down to is like, what Chad's saying, like, if you're going to have a spring game and it's going to be 35 degrees and potential for like sleet, like, is that the best? I mean, you're not even going to get a good read on your guys and what you have like in conditions like that.
Right.
It's not necessary. Why run guys out for the potential of injury when you can go in the bubble, do what you've been doing, just keep preparing? Who cares if you actually have a true spring game? It's not a requirement. Like,
on top of that, we've also seen the fact that there are already guys that haven't been able to get out there, so you're not entirely getting your whole team out there. So I don't know. I wouldn't be upset at all if they don't end up doing it. Outside of the fact that it's where I get to just hang out with Chad and Justin and Dan Horde and Dave.
No, Justin. Justin's out
because of baby.
Yeah.
Baby
Have you
Williams.
seen that? That kid needs a haircut. See pictures of that kid? That kid needs a haircut. That kid came out of the womb with more hair than my wife.
well played, Chad. Well played.
I didn't see that joke coming.
That was actually a joke that was made in the Brendel household when the baby was born, and I showed Kelly the picture, and she was like, "She's got more hair than me," and I was like, "Yep." She's been alive for 1 hour, like 1 hour when that picture was taken. She's got more hair than you.
So I mean, but that's when I get to just hang out with you guys. So that's the only reason I would be upset. But plus, I get to listen to Dave and Dan talk draft.
So I'm not speaking on any like inside information here. I'm just looking at like the reality of what that is supposed to be.
Yeah.
Nobody's gonna come. If it's 43 degrees and a mix of rain and snow and like and bullshit, you're really gonna like pack the family up in the car and be like, let's go sit in the stands at Nippert?
No shot. I mean, even last year it was cold rain where we were just all huddled up kind of under the overhang of the Bearcat layer.
But it was like 50, 55.
Still not great.
No,
we were all
but it
cold.
was like
we were still cold.
It was chilly in rain. It wasn't cold in rain.
No, I mean we all had long sleeves on. We all had long pants on.
Aaron, you understand the difference between 50, 55 degrees and 42 degrees, right?
Yeah, it's like 10 degrees. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a big difference. It's a big difference.
Yes.
I'm glad we agree.
The Bearcats are picking up what a new coach from leaving Ohio State staff, right? Yeah, Ricky Brown. Is that happening still?
Well, he's quality control. Yeah. So he is coming in, former Elder guy.
Yep.
He's not really like on field recruiting assistant. It'll be more breaking down tape, evaluating opponents. But a good addition. I know he's a guy that a lot of people around town really think highly of.
My brother-in-law played with him at Elder, and
everyone from Elder loves him.
Well, he said that
everyone
dude
from Elder
hit
loves
me
anyone
harder
from Elder
than I've
Elder.
ever been hit at practice.
Right. No, that's the thing.
He said, I'm glad they didn't know how good he was at the time, because he would have played over me, because my brother-in-law was a cornerback, and he's like, he would have played over me at the time, and they just didn't realize how good he was. He's like, he would give people concussions. He hit them so hard.
Right. I've talked to several people that are like have Elder lineage, and yes, Ed, sometimes they overhype their own, but every one of them to a T was like, that dude would knock you out. Like that dude would have run into you with his face as hard as he could, and the consequences were the consequences, because that was a time when football was different.
My brother-in-law referred to him as a chin tackler, and so
that's what I'm trying to get at here.
He just gave people concussions and got them himself, and you know, like you said, it was a different time, so it was like, can you see still? All right, get back out there.
And the way you tackled was different.
Absolutely.
It was maybe not crown of the helmet, but like, you know, the area above where the face mask goes, that's what you ran into somebody with.
But my brother-in-law said he used the crown of his helmet as a weapon.
Yeah, sure. Also that. I was trying to be nice about it, but also that.
We're not being nice here. We're sugarcoating nothing on this podcast.
But is that not a testament, though, to Luke recognizing a problem with the fact that Cincinnati is tough to recruit, and bringing in a Kerry Combs, who the West Side, even if you're not a Coleraine guy, the entire West Side welcomes back with open arms, and an Elder guy who, when you talk about the GCL,
he's done this the entire time he's been here, right?
When have we had an Elder guy? Or a GCL guy, for that matter?
Well, you've had like Doug Rossfeld was part of the program when Luke first got here. Like you've had guys, Tony Pike.
I guess I just feel like
around the program, while not necessarily being like a member on staff, but like a champion for the program, somebody that was the sideline reporter, worked for UC.
I guess I feel like we've kind of gotten away from that over the course of the last couple of years, to where we haven't had a GCL, a West Side guy, and to bring them back in, I think that's just another feather in his cap.
Sure.
As far as recruiting goes. So I'm excited for it. I'm here for it.
I didn't know Kerry Combs coached in the GCL.
Well,
it's the GMC, right?
I was referencing the Elder hire for the GCL.
I'm messing with you, Aaron. Calm down.
I'm also drinking a little bit more than I normally do with you, so.
Sure.
What do you got there? Just some Bud Lights?
Bud Light seltzers, yeah.
You're so soft.
I'm just trying to watch the weight, man. It's fine.
What are you watching it go up? Like what?
All too often. But Ed, Jeff, what are you guys looking for as far as should there be a game played on Saturday? What are some of the positional battles that you are looking to see here?
Well, I know we brought it up last week. Obviously, Ed wasn't here, but kind of want to. Obviously, I haven't seen it much. You know, you guys kind of touched on it a little bit with Arquan going to the edge there on the boundary. You know, seeing kind of where he stands there, I don't expect to be disappointed. Obviously, everybody we beat it to death, the quarterback back and forth, but being able to actually see it, maybe at whatever game speed that truly is, that would be nice. Chad has hyped up the defense to a level where I'm really excited to see what they've got going on there. And then the wide receivers, I know I've listed almost every position, but like the wide receivers, like
Look,
there have been some dudes like that have, you know, out there, and I really like. I hope that Mardner is like, you know, like that's a guy that I, you know, when they announced that he announced that he was coming
Chris
here, I was
Scott.
like, but yeah, but Mardner's like 80 foot tall. Like
He's
you know,
6'6".
yeah,
Chris Scott.
he's super long.
Is there a guy named Chris Scott?
If I mentioned Chris Scott,
Yeah, you have, Chad.
Ed, let's play this game. Ed, how many current Bearcats can you name on the football team?
Oh,
Chris Scott.
Scott. The two quarterbacks we just talked about, whose names are just escaping me because you put me on the spot. Chris Scott,
Ben Bryant, and Evan Prater. But go on.
that's them.
Yeah, that's them. Mm-hmm.
Why gotta put me on the spot like that? You know,
Arquan Bush.
Arquan Bush was already mentioned.
Yeah, I'm just going through the guys we already talked about.
So was Nick Mardner.
I could be sitting in a room with a guy, and if you put me on the spot like that, I'm not going to remember their name. So thanks a lot.
You're welcome. I'm here for that. Are there any positional battles that you're looking
Without
for?
looking, what's my name, Ed?
Savannah Banana.
Carl? No, it's not. It's not Carl.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. This one's not going on the front page, Ed.
we talked about baseball.
We didn't talk about Bearcats baseball.
You did actually. You mentioned we were going through the roster, and you mentioned that one of the players was a former Bearcat.
Art Warren.
Art Warren. Which I didn't know that, Aaron. Good tidbit.
You're welcome. I'm just kidding with this, Ed. But are there any positional battles that you're looking forward to, Ed?
Well, I mean, Jeff kind of took mine. I think the first time you asked that question, I was definitely going to say,
because he mentioned every position.
Yeah, he did. But when you first asked that question, the first to my mind was the quarterback position. I think this is going to be really interesting. You know, you had Prater, who has been there. We thought he was going to take over, and then all of a sudden, here comes
Ben Bryant from Eastern Michigan.
Yeah. So, well, formerly from University of Cincinnati.
Correct.
But I think that should be interesting. Yeah, that's what I got.
The other spots that I'm curious about are running back,
kicker,
defensive line, backups, and kicker. But
are you more interested in seeing running back because
it's a committee, right? So right now, I think Ryan Montgomery might be the assumed number one, but he's injured.
Right. So is that why you're like interested to see like what's there?
Well, because
outside of him, while they get a chance to like get
Charles McClellan has been there. He's had 2 bad knees at this point, and he's bounced back, and he's had a lot going on as far as his rehab goes. He was there last season throughout the year, and he has been quite the story just in his comeback. And he's had, according to Chad, some outstanding practices to where he's been able to plant and just takes off. You've also had Miles Montgomery, who has shown that he might be like the next all-around guy, but he's not quite yet there. You've also had Ethan Wright, who was basically your number 2 last year, where if he's the number 2 last year, you would assume that he'd slot in as the number 1 this year. But again, going back to Ryan Montgomery, maybe that's not the case. Luke continues to mess around that Ethan Wright might be better fitted as a safety. I don't know if he's messed around quite so often this year, but he's mentioned around in the past that he might be better cut as a safety than as a running back. So there isn't a clear-cut Jerome Ford this season at running back, which is why I'm kind of more curious about this running back by committee that Cincinnati hasn't done in maybe since, I don't know, maybe since Dokes was there as the starter, and then Michael Warren as his backup kind of overtook Dokes. But I don't even know if that's a fair comparison.
Well, Dokes had a season-ending injury.
That's where I was getting, where it wasn't a fair comparison. So it should be interesting to see we haven't had a season where there hasn't been a dude. And again, that's still not fair because we haven't seen Ryan out there yet. So I guess we'll see.
And I'd argue Montgomery was the pretty clear number 2 last year over Ethan.
I just felt Ethan took the bulk of the carries.
No. The stats would disagree.
When all was said and done, he was not. Okay. I know
when we got to the meat of the meat, like when Ford was out, Ryan Montgomery was the guy that got the bulk of the carries.
Okay.
And then towards the end of the season, when it really mattered, if they took Ford off the field, it was more Ryan Montgomery than anybody. I know that because Justin and I have had running jokes on the topic of like who's the number 2, what the situation is there.
Who does Justin say?
I don't know. He's got 3 daughters now. I have no clue.
He doesn't know who he sees as number 1 running back.
He's underwater right now.
All right, you're not throwing him under the bus. I get it.
I'm not throwing him under the bus. But I think both of us, like, I think Miles Montgomery is the most complete back on the roster.
But what's holding him back then?
Just experience, like just moving his way up over some guys that have, that have done it, that have played, that have produced.
If you wanted to elaborate a little bit on Chuck, so Jeff and our listeners would know what I mean about Chuck, where you can't count him out right now.
No, he's looked really good. He looks back to being Charles McClellan. Like, one of the things about him was his ability to you always talk about that guy that can make one cut, go back across the grain and make a defense play. Go back to
what Trey Tucker does anytime he has the ball in his hands.
Aaron, let me talk.
Okay.
Jeez. I'm talking about, like, remember the Boston College bowl game in the first quarter or so? He had that play. They found him out of the backfield. He made one cut and took it like 40, 50 yards to the house and just ran right through Boston College's defense. Like, that's why Chuck is so tantalizing. But he tore one ACL, rehabbed from it beautifully, and then came back, and then 3 games into the season tore his other ACL. And you're dealing with a guy that, I mean, he was okay last year, and you saw it in glimpses, but he didn't look like the guy that we saw when he was a freshman that was like, oh man, this guy's going to be a weapon. And through the spring, as the spring has gone on, you've started to see him once again look like that guy that can just, he did it. I think it was the Saturday practice. It was the Saturday practice, maybe last Thursday. I don't know, one of them. They were working. No, it's Thursday. They were working on red zone for most of the day. And they were down at like the 12, 13-yard line. And they ran a play to the left, and the defense was kind of loaded up on the left side. And it was the short side of the field. So, when you're on the short side, the defense is all flowing to the short side. There's a lot of guys in a small space ready to take you down. He put his left foot in the ground and went back right. And the defense was just left there standing, watching him sprint into the end zone from 12 yards out. That's the kind of stuff that McClellan has that nobody else has. That's why they were so high on him early in his career. He just hasn't had the opportunity to, make good on it. So hopefully he's back to that. Ryan Montgomery, when he's back healthy, is going to be in the mix. And I still think there's a potential for, them looking at the portal after the spring stuff. What? Okay. That wasn't me. I just, sorry.
It wasn't me either.
Totally was you.
Nope.
All right. Well, I think
basketball portal stuff should be kicking up here soon with the end of the tournament, which we don't have to like mention names, talk about anybody like that. I do want to congratulate North Carolina for making it all the way to the championship game. Hubert is a fantastic coach. Wonderful. I hope he has a very long career there.
Keep him forever.
Should probably extend him for a couple of years.
Should probably sign him to a 20-year contract.
I think somebody said that even after he leaves this world, he probably will have a place as the head coach at North Carolina.
That was me.
After I know who it was, Chad. It was you.
Me.
After sending Coach K packing, even though that meant that I ended up behind Aaron.
While we're talking about this, how happy were you guys just watching North Carolina beat Duke?
I wasn't happy because that meant that I ended up exactly 1 point behind you in that awful bracket I made
I stopped paying attention. I knew I was done, so I didn't even know that. But how excited were you just to see Coach K go out that way?
Look, here's the like. I want your guys' opinion on this. North Carolina won the rivalry. They won.
Yes,
they won.
Is that more than the championship?
There is maybe. There is nothing Duke can do to get the upper hand on the rivalry. Nothing ever. Again, that's it. They won in Cameron in Coach K's final game at Cameron Indoor Stadium.
Unless he comes back.
Oh, yeah.
Well.
And then, for the first time in the history of the NCAA tournament, North Carolina played Duke. It was in the Final Four. And they ended K's career. And they sent him onto that golf cart with his wife. Like, he had that weird touching moment with Armando Bacot.
I voted for you. You're a
like
great
he was
ball
Mr.
player.
Miyagi trying to heal him.
He said, "I wish you were my player," and then did that weird handhold, the left handhold thing.
Yeah,
the whole interaction was the strangest thing I've ever seen.
You win the rivalry, right? You win the rivalry. There is nothing a Duke fan can ever say to you again if you're a North Carolina fan.
I think because of that, there's a 100% chance he comes back.
I said
the
other day that I thought he might pull a Tommy B and be like, I got one more in me.
Yeah.
Like,
even though the other
going out that way.
Even though the other dude is already under contract.
Right.
I think he's
well,
like,
it's John Shire, so he could just be like,
right.
Sit down, bitch.
I think he's like, nah, one more time.
Yeah.
We aren't going out like that. I'll go out in the round of 32 before I go out like that.
I'll lose to Lehigh in the first round again. Before I lose to North Carolina in the Final Four.
Never.
In the last two times he faced them, like
right.
Can
North Carolina wins the rivalry.
You think he would have been happy?
And Xavier fans don't take me joking well, but I joked around. I would schedule a tweet for 25 years from now. That would be like, remember that time Cincinnati beat Xavier in the Final Four? Like
posthumously.
Yeah, like just from the dead, like, Well,
let me ask you: would it be worse if UC beat Xavier in a Final Four or in an Elite Eight, so that they again don't make it to the Final Four?
Well, yeah, that would for them that would probably be worse for sure. But just imagine they make their first Final Four and there's Cincinnati waiting to keep them from their first championship.
Yeah,
and Cincinnati wins. Like,
I think I'd almost rather it be the Elite Eight than the Final
probably
Four.
Yeah, probably. I think you're right on that for sure.
Wes is just sitting there like
it would be like, but that was the joke. Is like that's North Carolina wins. Like they there's nothing in the next 50 years that Duke could do to trump what happened. And especially Hubert Davis, his first year as a coach with a team that was an 8, like earned an 8 seed. They deserve to be an 8 seed
with an 8-man rotation.
There was talk halfway through the season that Hubert Davis is in over his head, like
a bubble team.
Yeah.
And then they not only beat Duke in Cameron in K's last game
to seal the bubble,
right?
Yeah.
To get in.
Yeah. If they don't win that game, they
don't make the tournament.
They were going to need help in the ACC tournament probably if they don't win that game.
I did see an interesting or hear an interesting stat that, like, I guess as far as like efficiency and things like that, like over the last month of the season, they were
great.
But he had them on firing on all cylinders, as they say. I mean,
right.
And if Baycott's not hurt in the championship game, like,
that's why I say there's 100% chance he comes back, because you cannot leave Duke in shambles that way. You can't.
And that's the crazy thing, right? They lost an epic game in the Final Four. If it was anybody but North Carolina, it would be widely celebrated that, like, Coach K put his best foot forward. His team gave him everything that they had. You know, they did everything in their power, and they just lost a great game to a team in the Final Four that played a little bit better and had a guy go off in the second half, and Caleb Love, and like hit the 2 clutch shots. And there, as a coach, there's nothing you can do. But instead,
it's North Carolina.
Have you guys seen Bomani Jones' Twitter?
Oh, he's you. You are him, and he is you. He's all over everyone. He's like, it doesn't matter that they lost in the national championship.
Yeah,
this win goes on forever.
Every Duke fan that tried to rationalize with him after the game, like in between the semifinals and the finals, he just, with like 8 L's and 14 O's, loser. And that's all he'd say. That was the only word. Just like, no, you lose. You lose the rivalry. The rivalry is dead. You lost.
That's where I'm back though, where
I said it after, or like right after it happened. I said he's gonna pull a Tommy B and be like, like 3 weeks from now. 3 weeks from now, because like
I ain't going out like that.
Because it's not.
I talked to my wife.
It's not like they need Coach K to be there to recruit, right? They don't. Like, they don't need him. Like, he can come back in and be like, "Yep, I'm the head coach again." Like,
let's be honest, he's still mad that all he got was a bench, right?
Right.
Like, that's all he got was a bench at Duke. He's back. He's back. Yeah, come on, he's back.
There's got to be a line on that somewhere.
There has to be
the line. The line was North Carolina, and they crossed it twice.
I don't know. See,
yeah,
that was my reason behind wanting to bring up basketball. Was happy for Hubert in the North Carolina Tar Heels. He's there forever and ever. Amen.
Thanks, big guy.
Because, like you said, I mean, halfway through the season, there was that talk that, like,
this wasn't even halfway through the season. It was like 5 games into the season.
Yeah, right. It was at like the whole season, most of it.
Yeah, it was like, he's not. This is not going the way we want it to go. Like, and that's one of those places, right? Like that if things aren't going the right way, it's like next guy. Like, well, we're gonna fix this now.
And as we're here, I guess, like, what do you guys think about the board giving under Baycott?
Oh yeah,
questions.
It's the result of, and I know we talked about this like during the day today, but like it's the result of the desire to put these courts in places where there aren't courts, and you have to build it up, and you run the risk of there not being of a support not sitting properly, or the board's not being there right.
Jeff,
yes,
the media, there's been a couple people in articles released tonight have spoken to the company that was responsible for the floor, and they said that there's nothing to see here.
Of course, there's nothing to see there.
That's what you're supposed to say.
Because I'm sure that's a lucrative contract. To be
I know,
able-
Bear. We don't agree. Like, we don't agree, buddy.
I'm sure there's a
Otherwise, you're
lucrative
getting
contract,
sued.
right? Like that,
These aren't the boards you're looking for.
Like I've seen plenty of
We've all
Ed
heard
got it.
games.
Ed got it. Thank you, Ed.
We've all heard of dead spots, right? We know that there are dead spots on every court.
I mean that flexed enough that it caused his ankle to roll. I mean it flexed a lot, and that's not how that's supposed to work.
I'm just happy that at least one of the three of you got my Star Wars joke.
We
I
all
love
got
Star
it.
Wars.
We just went past it.
I just think it's funny that the company's like, no, that
That wasn't me. That
work-
wasn't me.
working as intended. Like,
Can you imagine? Can you imagine? Here's what drives me nuts about like media, and I'm supposed to be. I wonder when people are going to get.
Chad, you're a media guy. Why don't
Yeah,
you realize
sure,
you're
yeah,
a
that's-
media guy?
You're
Yeah.
a media person. Listen
Yeah,
to the
yeah.
word, you're a media person.
You can't talk like
That's-
this to people when you're a
that's-
media guy.
That's what they tell me. They tell me I'm a media guy. I don't know that I believe them. I'm a guy with a website and a couple podcasts. How do you do that story? Like, hi Tiger, what's up, buddy? Tiger got his ass kicked today, by the way. Our cat, who is usually pretty she's very small. It's a little tiny, calico cat, right? And Tiger wants to play with her, but he's so big and she's so small that she's always like, back up, bro. So today she decided to fight. And she fucked him up for 10 minutes. She just he came downstairs after 10 minutes, laid on the couch with Kelsey shaking. This is a 75-pound pit lab boxer mix, right? My 10-pound little cat destroyed him. And Kelsey and I are sitting there watching like, are you kidding me? By the way, so funny. Anyhow, where was I at?
How do you do the story?
Yeah, how do you contact them and then be like, oh well, yeah, everybody's talking about the board, but we talked to the company that did it and they said it was good. How do you write that? How do you write that with a straight face, knowing that everybody in your mentions, go look at the mentions for the stories. There's a couple of them, one from The Athletic, I think one from ESPN.
The Enquirer would do it.
Well, yeah. But you put that out there, I guess just because it's good for engagement.
Yeah. I mean that's the only reason, because that's I don't know, going to, they're not going to come out and be like, yep, our floor was trash right in that very moment. It failed miserably.
Just stop having these games at the most important games of the season.
No way.
I don't
In
think that matters.
stadiums.
I don't think that matters because almost every
Stop-
arena has
Stop selling tickets to an 80,000 seat stadium for a basketball game.
every arena has a removable basketball court. I was watching,
But they're designed the basketball places where basketball are played. Those courts are
Make up the difference in what you're doing with your TV deals. Put them in actual basketball arenas.
no,
Get outta
absolutely.
here.
There's no. What's the largest basketball? Rupp Arenas, 24,000. That's the largest.
I don't mean college. Put them in pro.
The pro arenas aren't bigger than 25,000 seats.
Weird.
Yeah,
saw
they
Jeff
can sell
Bearding.
50,000 more seats. Aaron, do the math.
I saw
Make up
FC
for it in-
Cincinnati's Jeff Bearding was saying that it's time to renovate US Bank Arena. So maybe we can make
That
that the
man
biggest.
should be fired into the fucking sun.
Say maybe we can make that the biggest basketball arena in
Okay. The largest
all sports.
college basketball arena is the Carrier Dome, Syracuse, 34,000 seats.
Jeff, what is the Carrier Dome?
Right.
It's a
it's
giant
still-
football stadium.
Right, but it's still a basketball arena.
No, it's not. It's a giant football stadium where they play
Number
basketball.
Number 2 is Rupp Arena, but it's one that is used normally. Like it's not one that they're calling in like the floor company to come build it. Like it's there,
Sure,
right?
Sure.
Like,
But they play it in
this
half.
floor
They
company
cut, the,
probably
they
does
cut the stadium in half and play the basketball game in half of the football stadium.
but probably this company. How many floors have they done? And this is the one that like. I mean, it probably happens at every one of these games where they build the floor like that. There's probably spots that are very springy like that. It's just never been in a situation where it's a high profile injury against, arguably the best guy on the court at the time. That's kind of turns the tide at the end of the game.
Last minute.
In a very key situation.
Sure.
So, yeah.
But they're not going to stop having the games
Right.
in stadiums.
No,
they are selling out stadiums. They're not going to stop.
I mean, there was already the talk about like, is it fair to play these games in those stadiums because of the backdrop behind the the baskets, and people were saying that it was causing issues with the shooting.
They said that
Bad
they said that
shooters
at Disney World too.
That's always been an argument that's come up. So
Be better, NCAA.
They said that Disney
be
World
better.
during the lock-in for the NBA during the pandemic.
Oh, I thought you were talking about like at the shooting things at Disney World, like where you try to win prizes.
Oh no.
Those are rigged.
that was what was the
Thanks,
deal
Aaron.
with that though?
Yeah,
Ed,
thanks,
I mean, that was in
They
like
had
a
a
smaller.
curtain.
They had a
Yeah,
curtain.
it was
Yeah.
smaller. Yeah, and they just had video boards on one side, but they had a curtain behind the hoop.
So yeah, I mean, it does make for a great spectacle. I'm just waiting for the time that they decide to start like putting it in some of these like an outdoor football stadium somewhere where they could sell 120,000.
Well, you remember that one time they
The
played
Rose
it on
Bowl,
they
the Rose
played
Bowl, NCAA finals in the Rose Bowl.
because it'll be the weather will be fine.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like
You couldn't
it's
do it in
gonna happen.
Florida because it rains every day in Florida. Like,
yeah, I mean, it's gonna happen. Like it's eventually gonna happen. They'll move somewhere where they can.
They did. They played it on an
Aaron.
aircraft carrier a few years ago.
Aaron
Not the
was bothered.
NCAA finals.
I
No,
am
but I mean, it was
bothered
still a
because
big
again,
game.
I just get out of the stadiums. It's just stupid. I don't like it.
Are you paying the $30 million they're going to lose?
No,
Put it in the
advertisers
St.
will.
Peter's Peacocks gym.
No,
The
There's like-
Sun Dome in Tampa, you can put it there.
put it where there's an actual
Dallas.
court
Put
already,
it down there in Dallas.
and put your logos
Put it
all
in Jerry
over it.
World. If
Who cares?
WrestleMania is good enough for Jerry World, why is it not good enough for the NCAA tournament?
No.
Las
not
Vegas.
sure.
Put it in Las Vegas.
I can't wait to hear Ed's take on WrestleMania.
Oh,
Ed didn't watch WrestleMania.
Ed,
He
you
only
son
watched
of a
the
bitch.
he only watched the clips.
I was traveling.
So, Ed, do you have 60 seconds of AEW at all?
No, actually, I was going to ask you to do a review on the Pat
I'm not-
McAfee match
I'm not.
or
doing a
WrestleMania
review.
in general.
Well, Pat McAfee match.
That's your job.
I didn't.
Well, I
write anything down
apologize.
about it.
I
I
was
just very.
on
I
a
was
family
very
vacation.
I was very impressed with Pat McAfee's match, but we'll leave it at that for now. We can talk
I
about it
was
in the after
unimpressed by Vince McMahon crumpling like a doll.
show. He's 80 years old.
That was
Shouldn't have been.
so
then,
hilarious.
Then don't get in the ring.
He took the worst stunner bump of all time, but
That was
Wow,
so hilarious.
McAfee took maybe the best stunner bump of all time.
He
With
spun
the
that
mountain
better
of
than
beer.
anybody.
Austin Theory's bump was
Also great.
Was amazing.
The Rock coming in had taken the best stunner bumps of all time because The Rock
Oh,
used
yeah.
to sell those things.
Well, he used to flip all the way up and then do like
Yeah.
the headstand,
Right.
the headstand,
Right.
and then fall. Yeah, I'm
Nobody-
telling you,
Nobody
my Twitter
ever sold a
was
stunner
1990
better
Yeah, go ahead.
until last night or Tuesday.
Well,
Sunday
my
night.
Twitter timeline this weekend was 1999, like Attitude Era WWF. Like it was.
Here's what I can say about Pat McAfee. Can you imagine? Pat McAfee grew up wanting to be a pro wrestler.
Did you see how drunk he was on the plane going
On the
home?
way back?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Pat
win.
McAfee
You win
grew
life.
up
You win life.
wanting to be a pro wrestler, right? And he basically stole the show at WrestleMania in the ring with Vince McMahon and fucking Stone Cold.
Oh yeah, no, I mean, for one,
awesome.
his match,
like
Yeah.
life is done.
his actual match was very,
awesome.
very good.
Yeah,
like
he box jumped the top rope.
Yeah,
that is amazing.
He did a backflip off the top rope to set that up.
Right.
Like he hit a Hurricane Rana, like, and it didn't look like bad. Like and he did it all in a pair of Jordan 11s, which is awesome.
Shorts and Jordan's everything.
And like, it looked like a real match. Like obviously he's mentioned it. Like he's done some training and stuff. He's an athletic punter, and but he looked like a wrestler.
I love that we're all talking way more wrestling than Ed is even aware of.
He sold it very well. His entrance was amazing with the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders. Like
he's what the WWE has been missing since The Rock and Stone Cold.
Well,
because they keep
firing everybody. They're all going to AEW.
No, but they're not any good.
Oh, come on. Why's it got to glitch like that?
You got to watch it again.
Nope, it's going to...
It's going to glitch again, isn't it?
Because Ed has dial-up internet.
Okay, we saw a little bit of it there. The back bend with the fountain of
all right,
beer.
Stop it, Ed.
Ed, it's not going to work.
Can one of you two guys with real internet,
I have real internet.
Yeah, sure you do, Ed.
Yeah, when I play it right now, it works just fine.
Hashtag be better, Ed.
It's probably a StreamYard issue, but yes, it was a fantastic bump. Like the fountain of beer that spewed, and then he landed there, and he's literally living any kid who grew up watching
all of us. All of us.
Yes.
I was semi disappointed when Stone Cold, he's like, points him over, he climbs up on the other side of the ring. They're doing that,
pretend to show him the respect.
He got to do all that, and I was like please just stun him. Like that is the one thing that if I was in the ring with Stone Cold,
stun me, bro.
Let me get my
play
beer
the fucking hits
and then hit it. And then whenever he handed him two more, when he handed him two more, and they stood facing each other, I was like, here it comes, and he hit it, and then he rolled out, and then before he left, he chucked a can of beer at him, and he's just laying there in front of the announcer's table,
knocked out.
Yeah, so it was fantastic. Good for Pat McAfee. I wish
he might save wrestling. He might save the WWE.
I've never been jealous of a punter. I am now. Nope, this isn't working either. The stop motion stunner.
The stop motion's better than what the hell Ed was doing.
I don't know.
It just works, didn't it?
No. Stop motion.
There you go.
There we go.
Just the fountain as he arches his back. It's so good.
We have a wrestling segment every week, and this was the best wrestling segment we've ever had.
That's not true.
That was another episode of Pardon the Punctuation. I am Aaron Smith for Ed Mayhall, for Jeff Howell.
For that one.
Ed Mayhall, the worst wrestling commentator in the city.
That's a jerk move.
And for Chad Brendel, for Annie Sabo. That was a fun interview. I am Aaron Smith. Again, this was another episode of Pardon the Punctuation. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for listening to us wherever you may listen to us. And we're out.
Ba-da-ba.